Welcome to the Masters in Motion podcast, where we empower Masters athletes to reach their full potential. Join us as we delve into the world of CrossFit and showcase the strength, resilience, and determination of Masters athletes, because we love this sport. I'm Jason Grubb with Rick Stevenson, and we are recording the week before the 2023 CrossFit Games, and we've got a fun show coming up for you guys. Rick, how are you?
Hanging in there. Yep. The week is upon us. We are Tuesday. Yep, 1 week out. Day one done.
It
Day
goes
one to be done in a week.
Goes so fast at the end. I'm in Madison, so I'm not at the Alliance Center, but the RV is parked at a little campground that's a stone's throw from the Alliance Center. I can ride my bike there and be there in about 10 minutes. It's pretty crazy to be in the town already and be this close.
How's it feel? How's it look?
The Alliance Center. Yeah, no, nothing is set up. It's nothing. I believe they'll actually start doing that. Maybe Thursday. I think last year is when I started seeing things change Thursday, Friday into the weekend, I believe. But yeah, it's just normal Madison right now. There's nothing special. I mean, it's a great town,
Gotcha.
But there's no CrossFit special things happening except at Big Dane CrossFit, where I generally drop in, or at least I have the past couple of years. I'm starting to see some other games athletes pop in there. And it's pretty fun. Like, just, they have regular classes in one section. They have a training section, kind of personal training section on the other half of the gym. That's where we do some of our open gym style training, and just bump it into individual athletes, bump it into teams. And it will just get busier and busier. And by the end of the week, it will be a madhouse in there, which is really fun.
They're really the only one that puts themselves out as a come and drop in, right? I think from either maybe space or just they love to interact, or
they do. They really put themselves out there. There's quite a few gyms here that I think are all really good. I've dropped into other gyms on other trips to Madison. But Big Dane is they partner with GoWOD and HWPO the week of the games, and they host a lot of off-site mobility sessions and training sessions with HWPO, which is really cool.
Gotcha.
In fact, they have some parking spots out front that say reserved for like Justin Medeiros or Tia Claire, whoever, some Mobility WOD sponsored athletes. It's a great gym, and they run they keep it very clean. It's really great. And again, when I'm in there just suffering, it allows me to give this week before the games, gives me a chance to acclimate to the humidity that I'm still not quite used to, just being soaked through my clothes in a training session. And then, kind of get a feel for the area, be here early, reduce the stress. I don't have to travel. The only thing I have to do is move our RV Sunday or Monday from our current spot to our parking spot in the RV area at the Alliance Center. Last year, we were able to go in a day early, which was very convenient, a lot lower stress, but whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see what they let us do, and we'll be ready. We've got a nice 50 amp spot this time with a water hookup. It'll be like living so luxuriously at the game.
No stress like last year.
Man, we had some power stress. You remember I had some stress around power last year.
I remember that. Yep.
It's all about keeping ACs running. They draw a lot of power.
Yeah.
So,
and the weather, I haven't looked, but I know you have.
Yeah.
Weather's going to be pretty hot. Or
it is
expected to be hot, isn't it?
Yeah. The next couple of days here are going to be really toasty. And I did see, I think when I looked yesterday, that on Wednesday during our 5K run, which I believe which we'll talk about in a second, it looks like that's scheduled for next Wednesday. And at the time when I looked, it was going to be 94 degrees that day. So that is a spicy cross-country run. I love the heat. I love running in the heat. I ran in the heat today out here, but it was probably 80 degrees when I ran today. It was kind of mid-morning after a blistering 2K row, which was just the worst. But I was warm. I was really, really warm. I felt the heat. The sun reflecting off the ground, made it really, really toasty. But I just know that 94 degrees is a whole new level. And we're going to have to actually think about strategies to not die. Not die. Right. I don't mean not die, but heat can really get nasty if you're not careful with it. So we'll cross that bridge next week.
I think where everybody, this is the time of the summer where very, very few areas are escaping it. I mean, we keep hearing on the news about down south and out west, but we're toasty, you're toasty. I mean, it's humid, and with that comes some nasty storms. So let's hope nothing also rolls through Madison next.
I know.
We keep it up.
We've always gotten some big storms. 2021, there was tornado warnings, and 2022, the night after our last event, Wow, that late night. Yeah, that's right. Delayed the events the next morning, but that was a pretty gnarly storm. We had a leak that last summer. One of our windows in the RV was not sealed properly when it was constructed. So water would leak onto the counter when it rained. And I
Oh,
think I captured at least a gallon or two of water from this crazy storm on that Saturday night last year. And then before I headed into your neck of the woods in our RV, I fixed that window, got it all sealed up properly because Ohio gave us some really neat storms. I mean, we really
more
had some
storms
fun.
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was really
Oh yeah.
fun. Well, we've got some
So
news.
nothing.
What's
Mhm.
going on in the let's Noble had some news this week. Why don't we start with that? Then we'll talk
Yeah.
about the events released by CrossFit.
Sure, sure. The main thing is this I think came out on the 20th, so it's a few days since we last talked. But Noble did get an equity investment from Impact Capital is the name of the firm, but it's run by Mike. I'm going to hope I get his name right, Mike Repole, which the world knows him as Vitamin Water Man and Body Armor,
Right.
selling both those brands to Coke for just shy of 10 billion, I think. So the infusion to Noble probably came at a good time for them. Noble was certainly in the news a few months ago with their chief marketing officer leaving and some staff cuts. They made their big splash out of the PGA Tour last year. They were lead sponsor for the NFL Combine this year, so they are certainly branching out into other sports. But to see the momentum that they've had halt somewhat was a little disconcerting, and now it looks like the founders had a chance to recoup or get paid a little, and Noble now has the capital that they need to hopefully continue to move forward. So I think that's a real positive and something we'd like to see.
Agree. I think so too. I've enjoyed Noble as the sponsor of the games, and we'll see where that goes in the future. How long is their sponsorship? Was this the last year of their agreement, or
I think this was the last year.
yeah?
Yeah. So one more year in Madison
Hmm.
by contract. I know that. And this was Noble's last year. So do they re up for a few more years? Do
Right.
they only sign one more year so that when they make a move from Madison, if they make a move from Madison,
Right.
it's a new sponsor and a new location? There's a whole lot of things that are going to be in play over the next 6 to 12 months. It'll be
Interesting.
very interesting.
Very interesting. Well, that's fun news, and always like to see any of the players in the CrossFit space when we see infusions of capital, a little momentum in there. It's encouraging because it shows, I don't know, in from my perspective, investment into the sport, and although Noble is a brand, it's a clothing brand, and I mean, I'd love for it to be the barbell apparel CrossFit Games. I think that'd be really fun. I like these guys, but I've been very happy with the Noble arrangement, and I wasn't unhappy with Reebok either. I'm just very thankful that there are title sponsors that are willing to invest into this sport. So that's what I'm most appreciative of those guys, and excited to see where that goes. I know that we had a couple of announcements in the past week. So last week we were able to talk about possible variations of Helen that we could see, and I've had dozens of conversations via text message with other athletes. Anywhere from swimming Helen to sandbag Helen. I mean, you could do variations of a workout are infinite. So I think we beat that to death last week on the podcast, and I've definitely worked through everything in
Mm-hmm.
my head. But very clear workouts have been released. First was a 5K cross country run that CrossFit released, I think Thursday, saying that all individual, adaptive, masters, or age group athletes were going to be doing the 5K cross country run. So that's great. It's not on an air runner. We know that it's cross country. So we're going to have some hills. We'll have some different types of terrain. I think that's pretty crystal clear. The other thing, Rick, that was shared was so they released these 3 concentric circles, the monostructural
The old
5K.
Venn diagram.
Yeah, and we
Yep.
love that in
Yep.
CrossFit. It's what we live for. That constantly varied in these 3 circles. We've got the weightlifting side of it,
Elements. Yep.
elements, and the weightlifting side was 1 rep max snatch and 1 rep max clean and jerk. It was called the Olympic weightlifting total, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
it looks like the individuals and the masters are going to have slightly different format. So the masters athletes, we have a 3-minute time cap per lift. And that leaves it up for just a little bit of speculation. Like, do we get to preload a bar, have 3 minutes for a snatch? Is there a gap in space into the next 3 minutes, or does it immediately go into the next 3 minutes? My bet is that we probably go right into it. That's what we did last year when we had a max calorie bike, max pull up, max front squat. There were no gaps in time. You just went finishing one to the next to the next.
5 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah, and you had to start the movement or whatever last year before the time cap. So that could be what we see this year. That leaves us with, I mean, if we get to preload the bar, I see a snatch happening at in the first 10 seconds, maybe another snatch at the 1 minute mark, maybe another snatch at the 2 minute mark, or 1:45, maybe one at the 2:45. That's like 4 snatches. I think that's all we get, maybe 3 or 4 clean and jerks. So that's a very tight time frame. Makes me nervous, but it's the first event, and it would be fun to just get out there fresh and throw down. I prefer to like have us be a little bit beat up, maybe have the 5K run on day 1 and then the weightlifting on day 2. But it looks like, at least on the schedule, it looks like we're doing that first. And again, we'll see how it all plays out, because these are just like 2 puzzle pieces with times or days that we kind of know that these are happening. The third announcement was that there would be a gymnastics test for the individuals. It didn't say specifically that this was for the adaptive and age groups the way it said that for the other 2 events. So we can imagine that, ideally we're doing somewhat of a gymnastics test since we're testing the other 2 elements, but it wasn't really specifically clear. And okay, so we'll just wait and see. It's a wait and see situation. And individuals and teams will have a Trek bike. Trek is a sponsor. I believe it was a Trek bike. And I know that I commented, and Sam Dancer commented on that post, that we would very much like bikes too. We would very, very much like that. But that's 140 for just masters. Call that 180 total bikes if we're doing all the age groups. That's a lot of bikes to have to manage. So probably not going to see that. But
but the way they worded that was very specific to
that was clear.
Individuals and teams will be riding these bikes.
Dead clear. It was not there was no question. It was kind of like when they did the individuals did that bike. What was that? They went around the Coliseum a few times in the bike.
The motocross, the crit.
The crit. Yeah.
I believe.
And there was this thought, like, would masters do that? No, they're not going to have masters do that. Unfortunately.
No, you don't want a bunch of masters riding bikes that kind of speed around corners, I think. I'm sorry.
No.
We saw how many accidents or near accidents.
Oh my gosh.
The individuals.
I mean, and chains falling off. I want equipment that I trust. I trust a Rogue barbell.
Or Pat.
And I know Pat Fellner, this guy, just such bad luck. But that's what we've got on the news. It was just a couple of announcements, not a ton of detail, but we can expect over the next few days. It's Tuesday now, 7 days until the Masters start. We'll start to see more and more fun information trickle out. And of course, all of us will be online, just checking Instagram and commenting and being excited about all this stuff as we go along. But
or they could do what they did last year, and when they pull you in for the briefing, they say, "Okay, they're up on they're live on the website. Take a look."
I know.
Pulls out their phone.
Oh man, that was
you've already had some information. You've got the 5K, and you've got some version of Helen, and you've got Olympic weightlifting.
Yep.
Frankly, they've done a lot for the age groups.
Way more than they have in the
adaptives
past
right now. Yeah. So it might be radio silence until
I know. What I would really
Monday?
appreciate.
I don't know.
I'm going to try to find a lake tomorrow to swim in, but I would really like if CrossFit would just announce something tonight that says lake or pool if we swim. I mean, we may not swim this year. We Masters athletes didn't swim in 2019, but we swam every other year.
2019.
So I'm always going to be ready for the swim. But I would love to know if I should go be practicing in a lake, which is kind of a pain, or a pool, which is, I don't know, a little more fun, and the kids can play out in the pool too. But whatever. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go after the hardest part tomorrow and just find a lake. I know a lake that I'll go swim in, and then we'll just wait and see.
I bet you it comes Monday. I
bet you're right.
If that's your briefing, I think your briefing day is Monday.
I think it's Monday. Yeah. I haven't even looked that far. I just know that there's stuff happening. Registration is Sunday. Briefing is probably Monday. Yeah. And then we compete.
Go day Tuesday. Well, you're already there. You don't have to worry about it.
It's fine.
Just be at the right spot at the right time.
I'm trained. I'm ready.
Yeah. You're ready to go.
Well, let's jump into this. We've got
Sure.
kind of something a little bit different today, where we're going to have Rick kind of, well, I'm going to let you tee this up. It was your idea and I love it. So I'm going to let you
Okay.
tee it up.
Okay. Well, combined, we were talking about mindset, preparation for competition, what you're thinking about, not just for competition, but we'll have some fun here with some specific events. Because I think what blew me away when we were talking about, might have been semifinals, is you knowing how many thrusters you could hold for every 30 seconds or something like
Hmm.
that. Even under fatigue, doing the math, knowing what your number was going to be for that little 5 minute blaster. And I think to be successful at the highest level, you really have to know capacity limits and know the movements that are out there and what you can and can't do when you're really trying to step on the gas or you play the waiting game after one or two rounds and then slowly reel
Hmm.
the leaders in.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to ask you is, speaking of mindset, though, pull back and look at this from a total competition standpoint. You are preparing for a multi-day competition. Okay. You know, it's not going to be like Legends last year where we were inside. We knew it was going to be inside. Here were your competition floors, and you couldn't get much more creative than that. You're preparing for a multi-day inside and outside competition. What are you thinking about going into 3 days?
Yeah.
And just give us a little
Yeah.
insight into that
Yeah.
mindset.
My mindset going into 3 days of competition is that one, I'm well trained for this. This is 3 days of intensity. No matter what I'm doing, whatever event we're on, the stress will be super high. Tons of stress hormones jamming through my system. A lot of nerves, a lot of adrenaline. Even without working out, all of that is super fatiguing. But I've also been training at 150% for the past 12 weeks. So the mindset is that I'm prepared. I'm ready for whatever's coming. I will have, even when they announce the events at the briefing, or at least the first day of events at the briefing, maybe they'll release them all, but sometimes they release them slowly. Like, I can take whatever they give me and start to work my head through it because I've done this before. This isn't new territory for me. I don't have those beginner nerves. I have more of that, tell me what it is so I can start to strategize. But yeah, my mindset is fairly calm as I move into 3 days. I actually see it as like a delightful break from training. you know, um,
Okay.
Training has
Okay.
been,
Yeah. Without nervous
yeah,
first time nerves, like you
yeah,
said,
yeah,
because you have the experience.
yeah,
Someone else, as a first time,
yeah,
might be trained
yeah,
well, like yourself,
yeah.
but has to deal with initial
Initial overwhelm.
opening
Yeah.
day jitters. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that I feel it. I'll be plenty nervous Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'll have all of those nerves of just pre-competition nerves. But the first year at the games for me, even going into the first event, I feel like I was shaking. I was so nervous for my very first event, which happened to be an obstacle course. It
Hmm.
was a 500-meter run
Mm.
into the obstacle course. And I was just overwhelmed with the sense of, like, I can't believe I'm here. I have absolutely no idea. Now, the obstacle course was a fair test of uncertainty. If we've never really done this, so you don't know what you're
Hmm.
getting in.
Right.
But
It wasn't wall balls and rowing,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we're just gonna
which you
suffer.
kind of
No,
knew
I got
what
to
you were
get
going to
over
do.
this thing and not fall
Right.
here, and I got to jump across that thing and land on a log. But this time, the mindset is really, I'm prepared, I'm calm, I know what to do, I know how to get things done, I know how to suffer, I know how to be strategic through workouts, and so I'll probably be just trying to rest in those facts, even though I'll have nerves, even though I'll have some jitters, just with the anxiety, the anticipation of competition, the uncertainty of the unknown, with all the what ifs. I fail, what if I fail? That
Hmm.
sneaks in, but I'll really be trying to lean into, I know what I'm doing, I'm well trained, I'm well prepared, I've done this before, I know how to win. Let's do this. I can't wait for the buzzer.
Time to execute.
Yep.
Gotcha. Well, then I'll turn it around here now, from looking at it from a multi-day competition standpoint to, I wanted to ask you about four tests, two of which we're assuming not done. Maybe you've practiced them, but they came from the games prior to you qualifying. And then two that you have some experience on, and if you can recall back what your thoughts were. But
Beautiful.
first, Okay, you're a 45 to 49-year-old athlete in 2015. This is called the sandwich, okay?
Okay.
And it came out, I believe, on the last day of the competition. All right. It was a 15-minute cap. So if that tells you something right now about what they're expecting, it was an 80 cal row.
Oh man.
It was 40 shoulder to overheads at 155 for 45 to 49 years,
Yep.
and then 80 deadlifts at 155. So 80, 40, 80 was the rep scheme.
Yep.
That's the sandwich part.
Yep.
Row, shoulder to overhead, deadlift.
Wow.
Weight remains the same.
Yep.
It's 155 for both. 15-minute cap.
Okay, so the 80 calorie row is the trap. I mean, you could be done immediately. You could be standing at the barbell looking at it in pure agony if you destroy that row. So I'm excited for the deadlifts. I love deadlifts. So the fatigue by the time I get there will be
And
high. It's a lot
right.
of work done before then. A lot of posterior chain from the rowing. In the shoulder to overhead is very challenging there. So I approach the row probably trying to be around 20 calories a minute. And that even seems aggressive. Like I think about the open workout that we opened up this year, 23.1. We opened with 60 calories on the rower. And I remember thinking
right.
that if I destroy that row, absolutely, then I will really hamstring myself for the rest of this workout. And you don't want to do that. This isn't where you win it. And I want to say that row took me over 3 minutes, maybe 3:15. So it makes me think that 80 calorie row is going to be a little even more fatiguing. Last day of competition, pretty tired. So probably four and a half minutes
4 to 4.5
on that row. And then it's get to the bar, and I'm gonna have to break that up like 40. It's 5 sets of 8. That's how I'm gonna think about it in my head, right? 5 sets of 8 gives me 40, but I'm really not gonna go chip through 5 sets of 8. I really want to go like 9, 9, 8, 7, 7. I mean, that's just very easy for me to digest. I know I could do a set of 9. That's DT.
You always
right
like
there.
the descending.
Right. Oh,
You
it's not
always
DT.
like descending.
I like
rep
descending
scheme,
growth. I love
don't you?
descending
Yeah.
rep schemes, and I know that I
Yep.
can pop off 9. That first 9 will be okay. The second 9 will be really tough, but then I only have 8 after that. And then 7, 7. Like the first 7. This I always think of like this way. The first 7 is almost like the last round. If I can get through that, all I have to do is 7 more, and I can torch my shoulders. I can absolutely blow myself up with that last set of 7. I get to 40. So 9, 9, 8, 7, 7 gets me to 40. Now I'm on deadlifts, and I really feel like the deadlifts is going to be pure, unadulterated grit, and it's going to be where is everyone else?
Right.
And if someone else is there, then I'm gonna go until my lungs explode. Like I'm not going to let anyone beat me here.
So a lot of that is competition dependent.
Yeah.
Not I have a rep scheme in mind.
Not there.
I had the rep scheme for shoulder to overhead, but now
it's I could do deadlifts forever, right? Like if this is
okay.
close to the last event, I mean, I'll put myself in the hospital if I have to not stop doing deadlifts.
It was second to last event. Don't do
okay.
that before the last
Second
event.
to last event.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to keep that in mind.
Second.
So probably not going to do 80 well, I'm never doing 80 unbroken, but I'm not
right.
I'm my rep scheme at the deadlifts in my mind are very dependent on what's happening in the moment. If I have time, if I get there first and I kind of have an idea that I've got 15, 20 seconds to spare, I might chip off like a set of 15 or 20, and then as quick as I can, and then just pay attention to where my competitors are at that point and pace myself to stay just ahead. But I'm not killing myself unless I have to. If I've got to chase someone down, then I might set the barns on fire, and just whatever happens on the next event happens. I mean, these events, it's a funny thing. Even if it's second to last event, and we did this at the games last year, where second to last event or first event of the day on the last day was carrying Karen, which was a set the barns on fire, you're gonna die on this, and then you got to go swim, and then you have another event later the day. But it doesn't matter,
which we didn't know at the time,
right?
I think
We didn't know, but you have to win events. So that's what I would do. I would that 80 would be on that deadlift, dependent on what's going on around me. If I got to sell my soul, I will. If I have any kind of a lead, I'll tap the brakes and just win, assuming that I'm ahead.
Well, yeah, assuming you're ahead. Now, I'm sure we can find it back on the old in the old archives somewhere, especially on YouTube. Matt Swift won the event back in 2015.
Okay. Can I guess this time?
Sure,
Yeah,
please.
let's see. So we got 4. It's like let's be like 4, 7, 10:30.
Very good.
What do you get?
10:36.
Oh man.
10:36.
Oh right.
Yep.
That's fast.
He won the games overall that year.
Okay.
In 45 to 49.
Yeah.
But he did win the sandwich with a time of 10:36.
Wow.
Second place. Oh, it was close. 10:36.82 was second
sick.
place. So he won it by less than half a second. So that must have been a heck of a finish.
They were suffering.
We'll
there was some suffering happening there.
Yep.
Wow.
There you go. That's what I'm looking at, and I'll give you the answer for the next one here too. Okay, moving to 2017.
Okay.
You were there as a spectator,
Correct.
I believe. This was a year where I'll give CrossFit kudos for a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
We're still able to watch these events, and I think the coverage was very, very well done. Last event, two-parter. Diane, right down the middle, 21:15.9, deadlifts and handstand push-ups, 225 for the men, 4-minute cap, 2-minute reset, and then what they called the final couplet, which was 6 rope climbs, 6 15-foot rope climbs, and 30 thrusters at 115 pounds, 5-minute cap there.
Yep.
So 11 total minutes.
Yep.
4, 2, 5.
Yep. Got
it. And that finished up the games.
Yeah.
For age groups up through 45 to 49. 50-year-olds had a little bit different, I believe. Okay. But
all right.
For this sake today, Diane.
Yeah, Diane.
Final couplet.
We got this 2-part workout, and Diane is going to mess up the thrusters in particular. So it's 2 parts, 2 scores. Yeah. 2 scores. So
it is 2 scores.
So you got this challenge of like, I can't sandbag Diane. I need those points, and I need the points in the last event. This reminds me of the Legends Championship in 2022 in December.
This year.
Yeah, this year, where we had a 2-part event, 1-minute reset between, and I had to win both to win Legends. If I did not win both, I don't win Legend. So yeah, those are really tough ones. Diane is a what's the right word when underestimate? People underestimate how hard Diane is, I guess is the right word.
Absolutely. I agree.
It's very hard. And I would have historically tried to go unbroken, and I just think that's a mistake. I think that this is just one of those workouts that launches the heart rate so much that it really gets in the way of everything else. So I'm probably going to go 15-6 on the deadlifts. Real simple rep scheme there. 15-6, probably 15-6 on the handstand push-ups. And I can do handstand push-ups very well, but I want to control the heart rate. I want to control my pacing. On the 15, I'm going to go 9-6, 9-6. Those are doable sets all day long. I'm never going to struggle with 9-6, 9-6 on either deadlifts or handstand push-ups. And then on the last set of 9, I'm probably going to try to go for broke and go 9-9. Again, what that allows me is this initial big chunk and then just 6 reps on that first set. A big chunk of 9 and only 6 reps. I like those. Those are easy psychological tasks for me to accomplish. Biting off a big chunk to start and then leaving myself with only 6 reps. I can do 6 reps. I can easily do 6 reps, and really saving myself for that last set when I go 9-9. And just try to hang on. If I've got to go 6-3 on the handstand push-ups, I will. The deadlifts are a no-brainer set of 9. And I think that Diane is probably about a 3-minute to 3:15 effort now. I think I've done Diane in the 2:30s, like just ripping it as probably a 43-year-old. Nowadays is probably over 3 minutes. And again, it's there's going to be some slight tweaks to that plan based on what's going on around me.
I was going to say, and knowing that you have only 1 minute reset.
Only 1 minute reset. Well, you said 2 minutes. I got 2-minute reset here.
Work. I mean, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'm sorry, 2 minutes.
And 2 minutes is twice as long. And that's 2 minutes. I'm recovered, man. I am good to go with 2 minutes. This morning I did a 2K row as an example, and I hit a heart rate that was so uncomfortable because I was trying to hit a certain time. So I'm pulling a 130 at the end of a 2K row to try to hit this time. And I get off the rower and I'm just going to die. And at the 2-minute mark, I looked at my watch. This is post row because then I'm going to go run. But at the 2-minute mark, I looked down and I was like, God, it felt like it had been 5 minutes. It had only been 2 minutes and I was good to go. I still felt it, but I was very calm. So I see a 2-minute reset. I was like, I can send it on that set of 9 completely. 2 minutes is all day for me to recover there. So I love 2 minutes. So maybe I'm 3 minutes on Diane because I'm sending it.
Okay.
2-minute reset, 6 rope climbs. It's funny. We've come a long way on rope climbs, I think, in the past even 5-6 years. As masters athletes,
Hmm.
we see rope climbs in everything.
Absolutely.
So it's not touch and go 6, but there's really not a lot of reset there. You're getting up there and sliding down, getting up there and sliding down. Probably doing, I would say, 6 in a minute 30 to a minute 45, depending on your height.
Okay.
There's faster rope climbers than me, but I would say a minute and a half. I know how many I can do in a minute fresh, and I'm not fresh here.
See,
So
that's some of the strategy. No, you're
yeah,
not.
not
Yeah, there's
fresh.
absolutely the last
Yep.
workout of the competition.
Yeah, it's the last workout. I'm not fresh. I've got all the adrenaline, but I'm not fresh. And we've got rope climbs and thrusters, which is a pull push workout, which is going to cause that heart rate to spike right up. As soon as we finish Diane, heart rate, which was spiked, is going to come down. As soon as I start the rope climbs, we're going to be right back in the deep end of the pool. I mean, within 30
Hmm.
seconds,
Yep.
we're back where we left off. So yeah, I think that's a minute and a half to a minute and 45-second effort, maybe a little faster. There's going to be some giddy up depending on what my competition is doing around me. But then on thrusters, it's not 30 unbroken, and probably we have to move the barbell forward.
No.
So
Yeah, I think it was
10, 10, 10.
advance 15, or I think it
Oh,
was 15 and 15. I'm pretty sure.
so I would,
Which is a little tougher. Yeah.
yeah, I would hope that it was 10, 10, 10, because I think I could do 10, 10, 10. It's the last event, and I'm willing to just die. I just don't know if I could go 15 and 15. I imagine a lot of the athletes went 15 and 15 because that's what was there. But it's only 115. We've done heavier thrusters in competition. In 2021, we
Hmm.
had 165-pound thrusters for
Yeah.
10-8-6-4-2.
Yep.
So that's 30 reps. And I would have that in my head. I would be
Hmm.
thinking to myself, you know what? I did wall walks and heavy thrusters, and I was unbroken. I think I broke up once. So I'm probably going to go 15, move that bar forward, and try to go 15. Just try for that second 15.
Hmm.
And if I've got to
Yep.
go
Again.
9 and 6 or 10 and 5, and if anybody's with me, I'm never putting the barbell down
Mhm.
unless, and this definitely happens when you're doing anything overhead like that, if my
Right.
arms cannot lock out because I'm buckling,
And you fail.
yeah,
Yep.
then it's
Yep.
time. But if my arms are not locking out, and that's the funny thing about competition in that sense, the panic is so high. The sense that, like, if I can set it down because my competitors are not there with me, I'll set it down. But if they're there, and if I think, because you don't always know where someone else is at on their reps, especially you move the bar forward, now you
Hmm.
get a reset, you know where everyone's at, and then you start going again. You're like, I don't know, he might be doing faster thrusters than me. I've got to just keep
Hmm.
going. I just got to go. Here's this example. When we did this 10-8-6-4-2 wall walks and heavy thrusters at the games in 2021, my initial rep scheme on the 10 was like 6 and 4, but I was right
Hmm.
next to my primary competitor, and one of us needed to win this event to win the games. Or at least win by 1 or 2 spots, something like that. It was really close. And I started doing the thrusters. I was like, I don't think he's going to stop. I think he's going to go unbroken. And inside, I was like, I guess I'm going unbroken. And as I went up on like my 7th rep, he dropped. And I was like, well,
Hmm.
I'm already here. I guess I might as well just finish these reps. I did 3 more and I moved on to the next wall walks. And I was worried, like, did I just make a huge mistake? Like, I just opened with a set of
Yeah.
10.
He took the break. You
Oh,
didn't.
oh my
Yep.
goodness. And I was able to hold
Yeah.
on. I took a calculated risk there, and that could have backfired, but it didn't. With the last event, these are the last 15 thrusters I'm going to do for a little while here.
Correct.
15 and 15 sounds pretty good. So time wise, I feel like Diane is like
Well,
3 minutes. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. I was going to say Diane.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 minutes.
Yeah. Diane,
Now,
3 minutes.
here is where the 50 to 54-year-olds this year hope that Diane doesn't show up,
Yeah.
because Bob Urano won it
Okay.
back then.
Yeah.
2:17.
Oh my gosh. That's so
Yeah,
fast.
he flew. I remember watching that because Clint Paddock took second at 3:07. So
Yeah.
he won by nearly almost a minute.
Yes.
Almost a minute there. And then the final couplet was James Grundler.
Okay. Well, let me think of the time on that. So a minute
Yeah,
and a half,
I will give it to
and
you.
then we'll
I
go
remember watching
a
that one.
minute. Wow, I think 3.5 minutes. Maybe no. I'll
Okay.
say three. I'll say 3:05 because that could go fast.
All right. Well, you're right in the middle
Okay.
here, because Grundler won with a time of 2:27.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And
Wow.
John Lynch took second on the event at 3:41. So
What a gap! Wow.
your timings and how you thought that was going to go lands you right in the middle
I'm
between those
average.
two. Two 227.
Wonderfully average. Wow, that's fun. This is fun. This is like I feel like I'm
Yep.
a contestant on a show, you know?
Yeah, game
Yeah.
show. You got to know. All right. Well, now we'll move over to something where you do have some experience.
Yes.
Event 7, 2021, where they named the events. They didn't come. So this was everybody's worst nightmare. Double unders on the turf.
Oh, right. Yeah.
15 bar muscle ups, 30 cal ski, 100 double unders on the turf.
Yep.
12 bar muscle ups, 30 cals, 100 double unders, and then finishing with 9 bar
Yep.
muscle ups, 30 cal
Yep.
ski, 100 double unders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty decent time cap. However, a lot of people got capped.
Yes, it was all the double unders were a problem. You know, doing double unders on the turf without having options on your jump rope was kind of tricky. What we found, and we knew this would be a problem, is that a lot of us have these, you know, these speed ropes that are just, you know, they're featherweight. They're so thin, but if they touch a blade of grass, they stop.
Right.
And that's not good. So the right way to approach that event was to have a slightly thicker rope, or be prepared for that, which most of us have prepared for that now. That if we have to do double unders on the turf, we'll be ready. We've got dozens of ropes to choose from in our bags now. But that event, I took second place. It was a frustrating second place because I was ahead going into the last double under. But my approach to this event was absolutely easily unbroken bar muscle ups. That's a huge strength for me. I'm very good at bar muscle ups. They're very efficient.
Right.
It's almost restful. So unbroken 15. I'm also really decent at the ski erg, and the complication of having the ski erg in this workout is that it's a double stimulus to your pulling muscles. You've got the bar muscle ups and the ski erg, which are a very similar movement for the body. So you're creating twice the fatigue. And then the double unders were just aggravating. You know, it just aggravates the heart rate. If we were doing that on something, a harder surface, I think we all struggle a little bit less. But it was also interesting to do double unders on the turf. You got to jump higher. It was a brand new stimulus for us. They were very challenging double unders, and when you got yourself into a big set, you just hung on for dear life because it was working. I mean, I tripped on the first set of double unders 10 or 20 times. I mean, it was 10 or 15 times. It was insane how hard it was. Going to second set, I think I've developed a little bit of a lead here. But I'm really keeping an eye on the guys right next to me. We're all kind of toe to toe in the standings. I have 12 muscle ups, no problem. The ski erg, I had a calorie target that I was trying to hit, or, you know, like calories per hour. And so
a calorie per hour.
Calorie per hour. I was able to hold that pace. So I could share what that pace is for 30 calories, but with 1 week to the games, I'm not going to share specifically what that pace was. I just knew this was a pace that I could hold, and it wasn't too aggressive. It was a solid, like, zone 2 pace for me. I knew my heart rate was going to get crazy there, and I was going to get to get a reprieve on all of these pulling muscles in the double unders, or while I battled my way through the double unders. And so by the third round, the strategy was to get to the double unders with enough lead that I can just chip away at those and hopefully stay way ahead. Unfortunately, Jason Lukanen just crushed the double unders on that last one. He's also very gymnasticsy kind of a guy, and so he was pretty efficient on his bar muscle ups. I think I got to the double unders at least 20 or 30 seconds before him, and then I just got stuck. I got so stuck. And I wasn't, like, super worried about it. Everyone else was stuck behind me, but he was, I mean, he got me by 20 or 30 seconds. And did he?
Just 11 seconds.
11 seconds. Short, I mean,
right? 11
seconds. It felt like he got me by 11 minutes. I mean, I'm watching him.
He had enough time to run to the end and cross the finish line.
And take a nap.
You finish.
Yeah, he could run across the finish line, already do his post-games interview before I got there. I mean, it's what it felt like. But 11 seconds.
There were more people capped that you were talking field of
20.
Field of 20 here for this event. I remember they cut, I think, after this event.
Yeah.
So there were a number of people that got capped in the larger field, but your timing was right there.
It was.
And then we'll move.
Let's do it.
Funny that you
bring it. Bring this last one. Bring it.
I was gonna say you already mentioned it. We're gonna look to last year,
Carrie and Karen.
And we're gonna talk about Carrie and Karen because it was just a slugfest.
Yes.
For those not familiar with it, it's the length of the turf at North Park. It's 168 feet. So I won't say that each time, but it was one length of a Husafell carry, 50 wall balls. Thankfully for the Masters, it were to a 10 and a 9 foot foot target for the men and the women. Although when you looked up, you saw the 12 and 11, if I recall,
Yeah,
right?
they were there.
Yeah, or 11 and 10, 11 and
Yep.
10 or something. They were taller targets for the individuals, and you're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I'm not doing that. 50 wall balls, same length carry for the double jerry bag carries, 40 wall balls, a sled push, which was the alpaca sled.
Yes.
Our sleds were unweighted. You had
A
a
Husafell.
Husafell
Yeah,
bag in yours, I
we
believe.
did.
Yeah, that was tough. 30 wall balls, and then you had to reverse the order by taking the implements from one end of North Park back, mixing in just 20 wall balls and 10 wall balls, and your final 168-foot length was the sled push.
Yes.
Cap was 16 minutes, I
I
think.
think so. Yeah.
I think it was 16
Yep.
minutes.
I was
And again, smaller
yep.
fields, not everybody finished.
Yep. In fact, in my division, men and women, think I was the only one who finished. I'm just sure about the women, but I
Okay.
think I may have been the only one on that field that finished that event with 1 second to go. I mean, my time was, if the time cap was 16, I was 15:58.
Correct.
Right there.
Yep,
Yep.
15:58. Boom.
I mean,
Yep. And no one else
no one
finished.
else finished. So
Yeah.
this workout, we were allowed to put that Husafell bag, I think it was 200 pounds, on our shoulder or up onto our back.
Mm-hmm.
That was the saving grace for carrying it across the field. It was no problem.
Mm-hmm.
You just shuffled, you walked fast or ran across the field with it up on your shoulder. My mistake in that workout was that I started to drop that bag before I crossed the line. It's kind of like someone who celebrates a touchdown and they spike it as they
Before the
cross
ball
the line.
crosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got called back. I had to pick the bag up, carry it across the line, drop it. And in my mind, what I told myself then was, well, I've got to do 50 wall balls unbroken then. Like, I don't have time to break the wall balls now. I was planning on like 30-20 on the wall balls or 35-15,
Right.
just keep things calm. Not now. So I went 50 unbroken. And then you actually went all the way back down across the field to grab the jerry cans and walk those
100 pounds
100
each.
pounds each. And they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't terrible. We weren't like sprinting down the field. We're recovering from 50 wall balls. So we
Correct.
we got down the field, carried our jerry bags, and it was into 40 wall balls. That set, I believe I broke like maybe 30-10, just a really quick break to relieve the tension. Then it was down the field, and it was pushing the alpaca sled with the Husafeld bag on it. And that's where we all were punched in the face, straight in the face. You started moving this thing and you got maybe 20 steps. I always count my steps, so it was like, let me just get to 20 steps and I'll take a break. And I got to 20 steps and my heart was on fire. Like, my legs were on fire, my heart was on
Yep.
fire. I looked around at like everyone else, just thinking like, is everyone else dying right now? Because, oh my god, this doesn't move. And everyone else is looking at each other like,
Mm-hmm.
like we all got punched in the face. Like, oh my god, this thing isn't going. So then now
This is
it's
terrible.
terrible. It's just 10 steps, 10 steps, 10 steps, 10 steps. Finally, I get that thing across the field and I strategically turn my my sled around. I may have been first to get it across. I may have been second. I can't remember, but I got my sled turned around because I knew that after I do those last set of wall balls, I do not want to turn the sled around and then have to push it. And that's just kind of customary for me. Turn the sled around when I'm done with
Right.
it so I can be ready to go.
Well, there's something that is mixing in here, some of the lessons that you're teaching about being strategic with positioning of equipment,
Yes.
knowing what you have to do next.
Yes.
So those are things that you'll think about and you
Yep.
rehearse maybe a little bit in your
Yep.
mind before an event.
Oh, yeah.
Because we haven't even mentioned in all this, and I'll let you keep going with that, but talking about transitions in many events are just as important sometimes as the movements themselves because of the distance that you have to cover.
Yes.
And a slow walk versus a jog
It's huge.
can make the difference in many points and many
Yes.
finishes.
Seconds
So
and
here
seconds.
you thought enough to turn the
Yep.
sled around
Yep.
to go.
Yeah, I thought if
Okay.
I got to do this in a hurry, I want to get to the sled and push immediately. And I've got time right now
Okay.
to turn this around. And I just figured everyone would turn it around. I just think like this is,
Maybe they did. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
the rules of chess are the rules of chess. Everyone knows how to play. So just play. I don't know. So I turned it around, got to the wall, 30 wall balls. But again, you mentioned the transitions. I felt like it was really important in this workout to just pick up the ball and start going. The pain level was super high. Our heart rates were super high. It was pretty hot out there at that point. But if you just get the wall ball and just get it moving, like that's everything. And if I get 9 reps in and I've got to take a break, okay, I'll cross that bridge, but I'm not going to stand there and lose 10 seconds because I'm tired. Just pick up the wall ball and go. And there's also this part. In fact, Grundler, who was the announcer during that particular workout, he had mentioned this, that like there's just something psychological that if I've got a slight lead and as everyone else is getting back to the wall balls, I'm already working. There's almost like I want.
I'm fighting for second place
Yeah,
attitude.
yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's you don't always have the opportunity to do that. I'm not necessarily thinking that overtly while I'm doing it. I'm just grateful that I'm already on wall balls and I've already done 10 before someone else
Right,
starts.
correct. Hey, I'm trying to get
Trying
the
to get the
work
work
done.
done. So
Yeah.
whatever, we do the wall balls, carry the jerry bag, wall balls, the jerry cans, wall balls, and now we got to push the sled again to finish this off. And here's where it gets really tricky. I know what I'm about to do. I know how terrible the sled is. I know we're running out of time. So I jam that sled. I get 20 steps in because I felt good for the first 10 steps. I'm like, okay, now we're moving it. But it doesn't matter. By 20 steps, we're back into the hole that we were in before. 10 steps, stop, 10 steps, stop, 10 steps, gasping for air. And I look back and my second place guy as my primary competition. He's right there. He's still way back there. He's never going to catch me. I've got this huge lead and I'm actually kind of basking in this lead. Like, it doesn't matter how fast I go. I've got this. And then I realize there's stripes on the field that put us, if he passes a stripe, he gets a point. If he passes the next stripe,
you might not have passed the stripe,
yes,
and he just
now
passed one.
I
You're in the same
get
spot,
close.
even though
Yes,
you're physically
I'm
20,
20.
30 feet
Yeah, I'm
ahead.
30 feet
Correct.
ahead. He passes the stripe. I'm like, oh my God, we're tied right now. We're tied. There's 30 seconds left, and we're tied. I push that sled like crazy across the blue stripe, and I lay on the ground. And that's not the finish line. The finish line is past the blue stripe. So they're like, God, you gotta go. You gotta go. And so I get back and I push that sled with everything I've got across the line. I get across, I hear the buzzer, and I got that extra point, which means I did not tie in that event. And when we think about things like that, I won that event. That was the beginning of the third day. And then I ended up winning the swim event, which was the second event that day. And that specifically, those two events locked me in first place before the final event happened. So my stress level, everything after the swim was like, I just won the games. Okay, all I got to do is go out there and just do the last event. It doesn't matter now. And that's an amazing feeling. But if I would have tied on that last event, there would have been a lot more stress going into the swim event, which who knows what that would have done. And then that would have been a lot more stress going to the last event. So there's this compounding effect of like you said, on every transition, every second, every placement. And like, even though I was 20 feet ahead, we were tied. And just having the situational awareness of that, realizing that it wasn't like people in the crowd could yell that at me. It's such mass chaos. You just don't know what's going on. But it occurred to me, I'm like, oh crap, we're tied. I've got to get across the line. There's 20 seconds to go. And I blew up my heart. And they told us specifically, do not lay down on that grass. It's 100,000 degrees.
I remember that.
You could burn an egg on that grass. Do not lay down. I pushed across. I laid on that grass. And I actually the funniest part was I got up at the end of that. And actually I was down there and they tapped me like, dude, we got to go. You got to get up. And so one of the event staff, he's like, do you want to put your arm on my shoulder? I'm like, nah, I'm fine. And we took about 5 steps and I regretted what I had said immediately. Like, I could really use his shoulder right now. I could use it so bad. But I walked off the field, got hydrated, and we moved on. But
part of that is you talked about awareness.
Yeah.
Not every athlete has built that up.
Yeah.
It's one thing to build up capacity to do 50 wall balls unbroken. Again, that's where you, knowing yourself as a competitor, I think you realize where you're at. For other masters athletes, we have to recognize where we're at with our capacity.
Yeah.
Even people at the games, not everybody did 50 wall balls unbroken.
Right.
Heat, fatigue, knowing your limits. Like, I need to break here or else I will pay for it on the back end. But again, things like situational awareness. I think you pick these skills up as you compete more and more. And then you have a plan of attack where your fitness is there because of what you've trained, but now the mental side has kicked in and I know how to approach these. There's really, you're eliminating a lot of things that are, anything that happens to you is really out of your control now. An piece of equipment failure or malfunction, you can't game for that, whatever. Right. So be it. But things that you can control, you've now put a game plan in place mentally. Yes. And I think that's what we wanted to cover covered this week.
That was fun. That was really fun.
So thanks for playing the game.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing the CrossFit Games event mashup.
You know, it's
we'll do it
it's
again.
A lot like poker players will tell you that they can just recall every time they had quads or every time they had aces cracked or they won or lost. Poker players can recount those stories, and we do the same thing in CrossFit. You and I remember 17.1, 18.3, the quarterfinals test in 2019 where we had 80 burpees into a 4K row. I mean, we could just talk about so many things. We just recall all those events. Well, that was fun. Rick, we didn't even talk about this before the show. I have a pick of the week. Do you have one? Or
I do, okay. But I'll tell you, it's a half a pick. And
half a pick it is. Why don't you?
It's another review.
Well, go for it. I mean, give us the half pick. We'll take it.
Maybe about a month ago, I was fortunate enough to get one of those nice discount codes on Reebok, new shoes. So received bought a pair of X3s, their newest Nano. And if you know me, I'm a Nano fan.
Yep.
I just like the way they fit, feel. I think each successive pair has taken less time to break in and have been ready to go than the previous edition.
Right.
I think they're getting better to run in. They're not perfect, but they're getting better to run in. They're certainly good to lift in, and then in the middle sweet spot, everything else. So I have not broken these out of the box yet. So they arrived. I will give you a review on them after I break them in and get working on them. But I'm excited too because it's a new X3. And by the look of them, they look sharp, and they look like they're built to take rope climbs, which I know in the past, that's been my biggest hang up with Nanos is they shred on the inside as I come down on the rope over and over. So I'm
that's
excited.
A good pick.
We'll get back to you.
I'll tell you what, I'll do the other half of that when you do. We'll be able to sort of give our review. Reebok is sending pairs as part of the Madison Travel Fund. So if they're going to send you a pair,
correct.
And if you wear them at the games, you can be entered into a potential drawing. But they're going to send a pair. So I'm excited for the X3s too. Reeboks fit my feet, and I love them. My pick of the week is a podcast, and a friend of mine turned me on to this podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm training. Just love to listen to podcasts. So it's not about sports, although I'll probably be listing off a few podcasts I like to listen to going into the future because I listen to a bunch. But the one I've been so entertained by lately, because of my entrepreneurial spirit, it's a podcast called My First Million, and it's a business podcast. It's two guys. I don't know how they came up with this idea. There's two guys that just talk to each other. And oftentimes they get on the podcast. They're like, hey, what are we talking about this week? And they just jump into something. I think they record twice a week. And sometimes they have guests as well. But they've been very, very successful as entrepreneurs in their businesses. And it's just incredibly entertaining. They're really, really funny. They touch on topics all over the place. Nutrition, fitness. They're both independently entrepreneurial. What's the right word? Economically free. They've both sold their businesses. They're free. They're young guys. They're in their 30s, early 40s. But it's a really fun podcast. And if you get a chance to take a listen, they have been doing this for a couple of years. So I think they're in the hundreds of podcasts. So just find one that looks interesting. They have great titles on their podcast. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you just kind of like to think in creative business ways, even investing, these guys are pretty fun. And they have entertained me through this particular games training season. I have listened to dozens of episodes. So we appreciate that.
Tons of them. Yeah. All right.
Well, Rick, thanks for jumping on this week. Well. I know you've got a busy week, as do I, but we're excited to see what happens at the games next week. And we will see when we can record next week. It's a busy week, but at some point we'll release a podcast either during the games or just after the games, and we'll get to dig into all the goodness from the games. Anyway.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. All the best.
Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Masters in Motion podcast. If you found this episode to be helpful, we'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. Your support helps us reach more listeners and grow our Masters community. Until next time, get bolder, not older. See ya.